Our Hebrew word of the month is sefer, which comes from the root samech pe resh. It literally means book. Sometimes the Hebrew people are called Am HaSefer, people of the book. I think that's for two reasons. Number one, we did bring the Hebrew scriptures to the world, which has been a blessing to billions of people worldwide. But also, there's a strong emphasis in the Hebrew culture on literacy. As part of our culture, parents in the ancient times had an obligation to teach their children to read. And so we've been people with 0% illiteracy by and large for several thousand years. We're people of the book. Many people know that the Jews, the Hebrews, like to study. We have a high emphasis on education. Speaking of education, another word that comes from sefer is bet sefer, which literally means house of books, but that's our word for school. If somebody's going to school, they're going to bet sefer. I have an 11-year-old daughter, Oriya, who's very happy that throughout this pandemic time, she hasn't had to go to bet sefer as frequently as usual. She's taking many of her classes from Zoom. Some people hate that, but my daughter happens to love that. Another word that comes from the same root is sofer. Sofer is an author. Somebody who writes sefer, or sfarim, books, is a sofer, an author. Mesaper is somebody who tells stories. So a storyteller, mesaper. There's a whole other group of words that comes from the same root that's a little bit different. Sifra has that same root in it, which means digit. And there's a lot of mathematical terms which also come from the root sefer, sifra, digit. Mispar is the word that we say number. And if somebody is numbering a sequence, who sofer, he's counting something. Sofer, mispar. A completely disconnected word is sapar, which is somebody who is a hairdresser or a barber. You could maybe make a little bit of a connection because it does say in the New Testament that all of the hairs on our head are numbered. So maybe the fact that a hairdresser is cutting those hairs that are numbered, it's funny, they both come from the same root, sapar. And a haircut is called tisporet. But this is also a word we use in business. So if a business is going into bankruptcy or having financial difficulty and they want to come to a compromise with their creditors, how is that done? They usually come to each creditor and they say, we can't pay 100% of our debt to 100% of our creditors, but we'll be able to pay each one 50% or 70%. That's called a tisporet in our slang, because something is being cut off. It's like getting a haircut. And so somebody with very, very bad English it might complain that he invested in a company and his investment got a haircut, which you would understand as a compromise settlement with creditors in order to come out of debt. So hopefully most of the Israelis you meet will have better English than that. And on that happy note, I wish you all the best.